Today we're going to talk about what to think about, how to start, and some of the key things that you must keep in mind while you're writing. So personal statement is really your opportunity to show the admissions committee that you're unique, that you have something special to offer, and that you're really thinking about why you want to participate in a program. Obviously, SAT test scores and your grades in school show one thing, but your essay shows who you really are, and this is something that numbers cannot show. The way that you see the world, the way that you understand systems and communities, governments, societies, this will show in your writing, right? Especially when you're applying for something and you are almost in a competition with others who will be chosen, who's going to be selected. There's only so many seats in the class, or if you're applying for a scholarship, you want to look good. So you want to do everything that you can to try to wow and impress the committee. Make sure that you're planning ahead. You outline what you're trying to say. Admissions committees, they read many essays, and you have to think, how can you capture their attention straight off the bat? So with your introduction, with your very first paragraph, how can you show who you are and what you're about, and show that you're unique, that you're special in some way? How do you begin? First, look at the prompt. So I don't know if any of you guys have heard about the Common application, but basically it's one application. They list certain questions that you can answer, and then you write your essay off of that. Some schools have specific questions and specific requirements that they want you to answer, and they'll have word limits. So understanding that before you begin writing will help you keep that in mind as you're building your essay out. If you're applying for scholarships, do you have an extra essay that you have to answer? Look through that first before you begin writing. A lot of students who have come to Learning House, they say, I have to write a SOP, and they don't even know where they're applying. So if you need help figuring out where you're applying, you can send us a message. We can help you with that. But learn the application requirements before you begin writing. Now, this is Writing 101. Say what you mean to say and say it direct. So concise means short and to the point. And again, these readers, they are reading many essays, and you have to think that they don't have a lot of time. Instead of saying, we utilized this process, you can say use, right? This is not a research paper. This is not going to be published in an academic article. That might be different language. This is to get attention from an admissions committee or someone who could grant you something. So say what you mean to say and say it straight. It can be helpful to read out loud your writing, because then you'll hear, would I use this word? Would I speak in this way? And that's going to help you figure out what words you need to include or take out. If you're trying to impress someone with vocabulary, this is not the right place to do that, right? So you can write how you speak, but don't be casual like in a Facebook message, okay? So no one's looking for perfection. You don't need to exaggerate your accomplishments or say, that you're the best person in the world. That's not what we're looking for here. But you do want to think about what makes you different. You have some unique story. You have a story or a talent that nobody else has. Maybe you have an interest that's unique. Think about that and use that to show who you are. And especially if you're applying for a master's program or a PhD program, and there is a particular topic or subject that you're looking to work in that field or that industry, is there a story? Is there something that shows you in that light? But again, no one is looking for perfection here. They just want to see what is that unique aspect that you show and you present. A lot of the students that come to Learning House, they are the first person in their family to go to college, to get a bachelor's degree, their master's degree, to enter a PhD program. That's unique. And to talk about how that happened, what that means to you, what that means to your family, to your community, that could be a great angle for an essay. When you write, show, don't tell. And what that means is you use examples to illustrate and provide details. proof of what you're saying. So if you say that you are very detailed and organized, what is a story or what is an example that shows that you're detailed or organized? Were you recognized in a leadership capacity in some way? If you're telling me that you love math, show an example of how you love math or how that has played a significant role in your life. Maybe a teacher or a sibling, or maybe even you started helping a local business and they've appreciated your accounting skills or your ability there. This grounds all of your action. So think about, why are you entering or want to enter this program? Why are you applying to this school? This helps show that you're thinking through your decisions. And when you're applying for graduate school or a bachelor's program, at that point, people want you to make your own decisions, right? Up until through high school, obviously your parents are making a lot of decisions for you. But at a certain point, you are responsible for your own choices. And the admissions committee wants to see that. They want to see, have you thought about what you're trying to do here? You're applying for the school, you're writing an essay. Why? Why that school? Why that program? Is there research that is being conducted there that you're interested in? Is there a professor you want to work with? Is it in an area that encourages entrepreneurship if you're interested in business? Is it a program that emphasizes internships in hospitals and you've worked in hospitals here in Nepal and you want a different kind of experience so you can learn new methods? Don't recycle. This is tempting, I know, because to write an essay takes time, and when you're applying, sometimes you can feel lazy. Don't use the same essay for many schools. Now, again, if you're using the Common App, that's a different story. But even if you rework some of the aspects of your essay, that's going to help show that you care and that you put intention forth and that you're really thinking about this school and not another. So this is a step that often people forget about or they skip over because they think it's not important, but actually this is one of the most important steps. When you are finished writing, read, edit, and then write it again. And again, I know this takes time, but you don't want to turn in an essay that has mistakes, because a mistake or a spelling error makes it look like you don't care. And it shows that maybe you won't have that certain kind of attention that universities want to see from their students. This is just, how do you make a good impression, right? So if you go and you're going for a job interview, you wouldn't show up with your t-shirt stained and looking like you just rolled out of bed. You will show up with a good impression. The same thing here with your essay. You want to do whatever you can to make sure that the essay is perfect and reads well, so that the admissions committee puts it down and thinks, ooh, I remember that application from Kathmandu. A really interesting story, shows a lot of promise and shows a lot of thought. Now let's talk about how to start, now that you have an idea of an essay maybe in your own mind. So the first one, always before you write anything, is to plan. So how do you do that? Make notes, and this doesn't have to be complicated. Write down a few phrases, a few sentences, and then begin to create your outline. So this is how you organize. You think about your introduction, the body, and your conclusion. Once you have your outline done and your notes kind of laid out, collect what are your best ideas. Just because you wrote it down on a note doesn't mean that you have to include it in your essay. You want to pick your strongest ideas and your strongest stories, and that's what you're going to write about. That's step 2. You start writing, and take away the expectation that it's got to be perfect. Just begin, just start. So set a timer, say, okay, in 20 minutes, I'm going to write this essay, and don't think that it has to be perfect, because that's step 3. After you've written your first draft, you're going to go back and reread and make changes, make edits, and then look at step 4. You're going to repeat this process as much as possible until that essay is perfect. So this can take a long time. Some of the students that I work with, they write 5, 6 drafts before it's perfect, before it's something that they love. Trust me, the time that you spend on this, it will pay off in the long run. And any good writer knows that it takes time. It really takes time to get something that you're proud of. And again, this essay represents you. So you want to take time. You want to think about, how can I make this as awesome as possible? You can find many sample essays online. Do not copy them. Read them. You can get an idea of how other people write. You can get an idea of how other people structure and organize their essays. Do not copy anything you find online. Read essays online to get ideas, but do not copy it. Write your own essay. So if you do need extra help, don't be afraid to ask, because again, the essay is the point where you can make a significant impression. Know the requirements, because oftentimes a grant, a research fund will want to know explicitly about the research that you will be conducting, where the academic personal statement is often a little bit more general about who you are as a person, about what has impacted you on your journey as a student, how have you gotten to the place that you're at. So be sure that you look and you see, what are the application requirements. The other thing is, respect the word limit. So in a lot of the research funds, or if you're applying for a grant, they will have a word limit, or they'll have a particular outline that they want you to follow that may include a budget. It may include similar research, because they want to know, have you looked at this, seen what else is out there, what exists in the research world about your topic. So be sure that you know the application requirements for both. So again, usually the academic personal statement is a little bit more broad. It talks about, you as a person, as a student, why are you choosing this academic environment, where if you're applying for a research fund, they want to know, what are you looking at? How are you spending their money? Who are you wanting to work with? And what have you done thus far that makes you the best candidate for this research fund? So if you do have experience working in a research lab, if you have published your own papers, if you have worked with professors here in Nepal, you would want to include that. So your introduction gives the reader the broad overview of what they're going to find in the body of your essay. And your conclusion, that's like the takeaway. It really is that last part that you want readers to remember about you and about your essay. So that conclusion is just as important as every other paragraph. Take time to make sure that it says what you want. You have to think about your story, and you have to think about where you're coming from, where you're wanting to go, and your end result. So when you're thinking about the notes that you're trying to write, remember, MBA programs, this is very much professional. They want to know, what kind of experience have you had in the past, and what are you trying to do with that? So especially in the United States, MBA programs, they're looking for experience. They want to know what kind of professional experience you've had already, where have you worked for, and why are you looking to get an MBA? How is that going to help you? So just saying, I want to study business, my dad has a business, I want to take over his business, that's not enough. Really dig deep and go back to your why. Why do you want to enter this MBA program? What are the skills that you want to learn? What are the skills that you already have? And how are you going to improve those skills in this MBA program? Think about your unique talents. So do you have a knack for numbers? Do you have a knack for innovation? Do you like to create things? Are you obsessed with startup culture? Have you started something yourself? This doesn't have to be a massive business, but this could have been maybe you're fixing friends' computers, right? Whatever it is, to show that entrepreneurial spirit, what is the story that you can tell? Maybe you've always watched your father run his business, and there's certain aspects about it that have really fascinated you. Maybe your mother worked really hard to work up in a corporate atmosphere, and you're wanting to see, how can you make situations better for women? Whatever it is, pick a specific example, focus on that, and show how that program is going to help you do just that. So be very clear. Why is this program going to help you get where you want to be from where you are now? You want, by the end of your essay, the admissions committee to be able to visualize and think, you know what? If she comes to our program, they are going to get the resources, the skills, the education they need to make a difference. Make notes before you begin writing, and take 5-10 minutes just to brainstorm. Maybe you write a big list of the different stories that you could write about. Maybe you write about mentors who are important to you. Maybe you write about professional experiences. Maybe you write about role models. What is the strongest example that you can use?